Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. And my name's Ryan McCarthy, one of the hosts of the show, and you're saying, wait, Ryan, I thought you were away on vacation. Yes, we are, but I had the special honor and occasion to go on the Levack and Goz radio show on Fox Sports 980 this week with my buddy, Tom Gozlowski. He invited me in as a guest host, filling in for Jeff Levack, another friend of the No Credentials Required show. And we had a fun time chopping it up for a good hour and a half. So I wanted to share that with you and post it on our podcast feed so you can listen to the full hour one and hour two segment of Tuesday's show. Excuse me. But before we get into this special episode, just want to bring you a special announcement from our friends at Royal Retro's King of Throwbacks. Remember when jerseys were bold, mustaches were glorious, and shorts were way too short? Good news. You can bring back all that retro magic, minus the chafing, with Royal Retros. They've got vintage style football, baseball, basketball, and hockey gear that screams, I was born in the wrong era, but I look amazing. Rock a jersey that makes people say, wait, isn't that from the 80s, 70s, 90s? Early 2000s? Yes. Yes, it is. And you look fantastic. Head over to royalretros.com. Use the promo code CREDHEAD at checkout for 10% off your order. That's CREDHEAD, CREDHEAD, like a fan of our show, with excellent taste in throwbacks. Royal Retros, the king of throwbacks. And here it is, special Levack and Goz episode from Tuesday, featuring me and Goz.
It is Levack and Goz with you here on Fox Sports Radio 95.9 and 980. Hopefully when you're listening to this, if it's on the podcast side, you'll notice no difference. If on our radio side, we hope we started on time today. I can't promise that. You could be listening to the start of the show at 4:15, 4:10, 4:20. This guy who's going to probably give me grief about that is joining us today on this Tuesday edition of the show. You may know him from his time for No Credentials Required. He's still there. Belly Up Sports, all the wonderful things. Was the old novel is called Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. Tuesdays at Chevy with Ryan McCarthy. He is the Cardinal himself, Ryan McCarthy, in with us today. Hello, my friend. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, what the crap, man? I only get 2 hours, and you got to bring in Boston Dan for one? Come on, man. I mean, three. I'm not that important.
This is the new birth of the new Capital Region rivalry. Somewhere along the lines, Dan had a rivalry with CBS 6's Chet Davis, and Chet with his wonderful family. They're out in Michigan doing great things now. He's doing the news anchoring, but this Capital Region is missing a rivalry. And if today's the birth of Hooters Dan, aka Boston Dan, versus the Cardinal, and we AI this battle, this is the day you mark on your calendar for when it started. I can't wait. Yes, Boston Dan will. Yes.
I may have to get a cartoon on ChatGPT to create this friendly rivalry.
And by the way, I have an idea of how we can even add to that rivalry before this hour ends. I want to get back to you on that, but it's one of these odd, weird stories with big J journalists and media members and local sports fans where if you listen to the yesterday's show, we got caught in that, I'm going to call it, the tornado of media speculation about the future of the Albany Firewolves. And when you have a journalist who works for a different outlet on with you talking about a report from another outlet, people got to cover their own butts, if you know what I mean. So we had heard the rumors the Albany Firewolves were on the move. As of when you and I are having this conversation, don't tweet us 7 or 10 2 days later that, I heard the team said this. Remember, Ryan and I are having a conversation on a Tuesday. Things could change by the time you listen. But for all intents and purposes, because we haven't heard pushback from the Albany Firewolves, it looks like this team is on the move to Canada. You are a local sports guy. You've covered a lot of teams here locally. Let's move away from the media side of it and just go to the fan side of it for the first part of this conversation today. What was your reaction hearing the news and the rumors about the Albany Firewolves leaving the 518?
Well, the cynical fan in me says, well, just another professional team in the elephant's graveyard that is Capital Region Pro Sports. But then I thought about it a little bit more. I said, this team kind of got started off behind the 8 ball already when they started in 2021, 2022, because that we're coming out of COVID times. We can now say that on YouTube and and podcasting without getting the strike saying, here's we can check the cdc.gov for COVID information.
It's unbelievable, man. COVID is still that buzzword. I still feel bad for my guy 90s Kid. I actually sent 90s Kid will appreciate this. You sent me a message on Instagram, and I'm like, man, I had just a terrible take today, and I hated it when I left my hand. He's like, just have a few Bloody Marys, guys, and a Hail Mary, and you'll be fine. I'm like, thank you, Cardinal. I went to 90s Kid. I went to confession with Cardinal because I hated that take so much the other day.
Yeah, just go to Hooters, drink 5 Bloody Marys, and forget all about it. You're forgiven.
But anyways, yes, the Firewolves were in a weird spot in the COVID protocol, building a franchise. They were already handcuffed, I guess we could say, of trying to launch this thing.
They were already handcuffed. They were already behind the 8 ball when they relocated from New England back in 2021. And not only that, but with the whole thing with the logo and having to change that midstream before the season started. But not having an immediate fan base because New York State is limiting to so many people in the building. I mean, I remember the National Lacrosse League was mandating all journalists, both Big J and Little J, and non-traditional like me. We had to wear. We're all mandated to wear masks in the building, wherever we went. And they started behind the 8 ball. Had a pretty decent season. Made the playoffs. Had a nice rally. Had some nice local name like Joe Rositeritz, Albany grad playing for the Firewolves. That was really nice to have. And then in the offseason, the team got blown up. Rositeritz leaves. Some other important pieces leaves they get traded, and they have a miserable season in 2022. Fast forward to 2023. They're playing well. They go to the championship game, and yet people aren't coming in. And I was getting frustrated with the fans. I'm like, really? I mean, this is a local team on a national stage playing a championship series, and yet half the buildings from coming in from Buffalo, because Buffalo Bandits fans, man, they travel real well. And then this season didn't have the season that we were hoping for. Missed out on the playoffs. And you think, all right, they signed a lease through 2026, 2027. They'll be here 6 seasons, and we'll see. Maybe we'll have a movie. 6 seasons and a movie. 6 seasons and a movie. That's
right. Get that community references. My sister-in-law was doing. I referenced The Darkest Timeline to her, and she's like, "I just watched that episode yesterday." I'm like, "You don't understand the impact that episode has had on television, and actually the sports world. How many gifs and memes do we have with Donald Glover, childish Gambino walking in?" But anyways, yes, 6 seasons in a movie where it's like, you signed the lease. You're not going anywhere. It's time to celebrate. You did it. Success. Capital Region sports fans can celebrate. There might have been some fine print or some contract we all didn't know about. Or
again, the old out clause.
Yeah, the out clause. Could Bob Belver, again, I'm speculating here, could he have booked more concerts that were going to outdraw the Firewolves, and he was okay with them leaving? That's possible. Hey, we signed a piece of paper, but do you really want us to honor this piece of paper?
Yeah, we do actually, but but it wasn't in the cards. Once again, I see social media of Channel 13 and Channel 6, the Big J journalists saying, "Oh, the Firewolves are leaving. It's been confirmed." And it's like, have we really confirmed it yet? I mean, it's Tuesday at 10:47 a.m. as we record this session, and it's radio silence from the Firewolves, which is a shame, because you think for a team that would want to be part of the community, and to be fair, they have been part of this community. If you go to certain events, you'll see the Firewolves cheerleader. You'll see the dance team. You'll see Alfie, the mascot, along with Spike and a couple of the mascots. They're in the community. They're doing their thing. But apparently, I don't know if it was because of lack of ticket sales, or people were just disinterested, or you could use the weather as an excuse, because the season starts in December or November. And do you really want to go outside? You really want to go out on a Saturday night when there's snow on the ground, or there's ice on the ground in the middle of the winter? Unless it's a really big game, I don't know if you really want to. I mean, so yeah, it's again another yet another team that's come and gone to the capital region, joining the elephant graveyard that is the professional teams, and it's seeing those social media saying we had a lacrosse team. Like, really?
Yeah.
Are you just trying to do that? Are you just trying to troll because you're being a troll? It's like this is the part of the reason why I don't understand why we have such an inferiority complex when it comes to professional teams in this area, when it comes to supporting professional teams, because they're not named the Giants or the Jets or the Yankees or insert team name here. Like, how come we can't just enjoy? We can't have nice things. We can never have nice things because people don't come to support it.
Yeah, I want to go back to something you mentioned there, though. One important thing that we should both remind people of, that when that launched, George Menius, for those who remember that name, was we'll call it the vice president, the director of, I don't honestly, truly, and now thinking back 4 years, I don't remember what his actual title was, but if you don't know who that is, if you're not familiar with that, that's also the same guy who ran the incarnation of the Albany Empire. So George was like, hey, I know the Capital Region sports scene. I know how to market this team. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. Now, judge how you want the success of the Albany Empire. Obviously, that franchise went through a lot. They won a championship. The whole league shuts down because of COVID. So a lot of people will point and say, well, that's not the Empire's fault, which I believe is actually true. It's not the Empire's fault. The league disappeared. But then the Empire came back in the league, and then the league fell apart again, and then the team got sold to Antonio Brown, and it's Antonio Brown's. Look, I don't know where George fits in that, but George also was running the marketing for the Firewolves. Did the same way you marketed the Albany Empire, that if you want to say, hey, they drew 6,000 to 8,000, how many were paid, how many were in butts, how many were free, doesn't matter. They had a crowd. I know it made it business-wise, but the Empire drew. The Firewolves didn't draw as much. Were they using the same type of formula to promote that team that they were for the other team? I also kind of wonder, and now my hindsight's 2020, did they actually over market the Firewolves? And I know that sounds like an odd thing to say, especially as a sports guy who does this for a living. You want to have as much sports out there. They were on everything. Mm-hmm. Like, they constantly, I don't know how many people even remember this, but like that fall 2021 to that spring 2022, they definitely put a lot of money in their marketing campaign. And that's even the most frustrating thing, is that like when you got a full-on push for this team and it's not working, and I would love to have this conversation with George. George probably, and he's not working there anymore. No. Hell, I spent a ton of money. It didn't get the results. I'm sure that's maybe one of the reasons he left, to be like, I know my formula. Is it the city? Is it the product? Is it box lacrosse? Is it the lack of wins in the first season? There's 1,000 different reasons why it couldn't have worked. But I do want to flip back to that last point about the Capital Region as an area for teams. Like, I can't have the same take I had 5 years ago. And I know you remember this very well. You and I were at the Hideaway one Christmas. I believe I was in Christmas pajamas. And I'm sitting there firing off hot takes in the Hideaway. Be like, you got to take this take serious, although I'm dressed as Buddy the Elf. But I think you remember the show where I was like, man, like, stop being negative. Stop being negative. Stop being negative. Support the teams. Go out. Yeah. I get like Albany. I almost want to compare sometimes to Tampa, where like you got St. Petersburg and you have Tampa, where an arena might be a 25 or a 30-minute drive there from certain places in the Capital Region, 25 and 30-minute drive back. You have to find parking. You have to factor in weather. Sometimes the convenience of getting to the arena because of how the Capital Region is spread out also can cause issues. But I don't want people to be cynical or negative, but there is clearly something that needs to be fixed. I don't know what that answer is. Like, since I moved to the Capital Region 10 years ago, the Devils, the Empire, the Firewolves, the Valley Cats are still around, but they lost their affiliation. I'm sure I'm missing one or two other ones that might be in the mix. I guess the Patroons went away, but they came back. And then the Firebird. Like, you got a ton of, like, what? I don't know the magic bullet. I don't know the perfect answer. I don't know the thing that's going to, I guess the bullet wouldn't fix it, but I think you know where I was going with that. I don't know the right answer, because clearly there's something that's not right that just keeps saying, because the easy answer can't be people don't support a franchise that quick, because guess what? That's every city. Yeah. Like, to just launch a franchise and say, be a fan now. That doesn't happen across the country to other cities.
No, it doesn't. And it's also probably going to depend on the league too. I mean, the National Lacrosse League has been around for close to 40 years. It's been around for a long time. We've already had a franchise come through, the Albany Attack. They lost to pretty much the same. I think they lasted 4 seasons just like the Firewolves did, which is unfortunate. I don't know if it's because of fan empathy or the fact that the leagues that come through are kind of transient. The American Hockey League is definitely an example of that. We've seen minor league teams move. I think you have maybe 4 or 5 different cities in the American Hockey League. They've always had a team. Rochester, Hershey, Providence, to an extent, Springfield. They've always had a team. But for some reason, Albany can't support a team for very long. I think part of it is the competition. You're in direct competition with the local colleges. RPI, Union, they're playing at the same. Their hockey teams are playing at the same time. You're also competing with Siena. Is it college or university now?
I believe it is university. Good catch there. I would have missed that. Well done.
Yeah, Siena University. I'm kind of lost as to how they all of a sudden became university, but that's neither here nor there. Albany, their basketball team. You're competing with other established teams that have been here for a while, and they're not professional. So you got to figure out a way to market your brand, market your product, make it appeal to people who want to be here. I know some fans who they're definitely bummed out today even though it has not been made official yet. Some things have leaked out in regards to the Firewolves moving. But there were some devoted fans that were there. And the times that I covered the team, there were some definitely some hardcore fans who came out. They supported the team. They were there. Rain, snow, sunshine, didn't matter. You're always going to have that locked in fan base, but it's very tough to bring in the casuals because they're paying attention to other things. You're in the midst of hockey. You're in the midst of hockey season. You're in the midst of NHL season, NBA season. The NFL season's just ending. Baseball season starts up. NCAA, March Madness. You're in the midst of that too. So it's hard to capture the eyes of the casual to help them become a hardcore fan. And I think that's the problem with a lot. I'm coming to this conclusion as a 40-year resident of this area, Goz, who has seen teams come and go. I mean, starting with the Albany Colony Yankees, I mean they're playing in a ballpark that was falling apart, and they moved the franchise to Greenwich, Connecticut, and now that Heritage Park, I believe it's a nursing home or some sort of medical facility, but not in the fun professional wrestling way. local medical facility. But you've had your capital district Islanders. Well, they moved across the river to the Albany to MVP Arena to become the River Rats. So I wouldn't call that a failure. You had the Adirondack Red Wings. They up and moved operations to Grand Rapids to be closer to the Detroit Red Wings. But hockey came back. We had the Ice Hawks. We had the Frostbite, who went dormant. Then you had the Thunder. Then you had the Phantoms, who were there for a good 3 years. And then you had the Thunder. The Flames. Then they switched leagues, and now they're the Thunder, and they've been there for 10 years, going strong in Glens Falls. But that's a different animal because Glens Falls has always had some sort of hockey team, professional hockey team there. Yeah. But for some reason, Albany can't keep a team.
I think I figured it out. I feel like I'm pretty close on this, but just one note, and I want to make sure people understand this because I've learned this now over the last 5-10 years. This is me getting old. You and I joked around with this on Sean Martin yesterday. You and I are both now old, bearded, and bald, so we have learned something in our lives. But when something ends, it doesn't mean it's a failure. So I just will use like the Howard Stern example, right? Like people are like, Howard Stern show canceled. He's gone woke. He's made Howard Stern almost made $1 billion and saved Sirius. Like no one's going to, because it ends doesn't mean it's a failure. Everything has a finite end, that's it. So just accept like whatever you're doing eventually will end. I know that's kind of morbid and dark, but for real, like that doesn't mean just because it's over, doesn't mean it's not. Anyways, now that odd life quote is done.
Don't cry because it ended. Smile because it happened.
That's exactly right.
Or something like that.
Yes, that's exactly right. I figured
on an off topic with Howard Stern, I mean, to kind of go on a tangent here, if And if and only if he doesn't renew his contract with Sirius, do you think he goes into podcasting?
No.
Or no? Or he just
No,
shuts it
he's
down
done.
and just says, I'm gonna live my life.
He might just do like 6 months of something else to say he retired on his own, just for the ego sense of it. Because he, obviously he's got an all-time ego. That's probably it. But besides that, he's probably done. I would say he's threatened retiring for like 10 years now when he works 3 days a week. The world has changed.
Yes, I would also like to make $100 million a year and only work 3 days a week and have a summer break.
There you go. And the guy got yes, and they finally said, we're not doing that anymore. He's like, all right, you gave me, I'm not doing anything else. You gave me my first deal. I'm not going to say no to it. Here's what I figured out what Albany needs. And I don't know who this person is. I think there's examples of them now. Is that like, okay, we'll use Syracuse for an example, right? Like the Syracuse Chiefs from 2010 to 2019, like nobody went to the games. They should have lost their affiliation. They should have. But whether it's local politicians, whether it's the sale of the team from a family-owned business from the Simones to Jason Smorgasbord and the business, like they had people defending the Chiefs and saying, hey, we're not doing well, but we're always going to do this. The Crunch had a business as well. Like Howard Dolgan defended the franchise in Syracuse. Buffalo, like there's a world within the last decade where the Buffalo Bills were going to leave Buffalo. Yeah. But they had the Pagulas who stepped in and said, we're keeping this. We're going to update the harbor. You've had these almost, I want to say champions for the city. I think that's the best way to do it. Champion for the city of you're not going to leave Albany. It feels like because Albany's tied in with a lot of other things, whether it be politics, whether it be the government, whether it be anything else but the sports teams, there's never anybody sticking their neck out and saying, we need to keep this team or I'm going to be the voice of the team. We do have an example, Mike Korda, and I know that I'm an employee of the Firebirds, but seriously, like, they lost the Empire because the league shut down. He brought back the Firebirds and kept them. They lost the league that they were in before. They found another league. Mm-hmm. That stuff seems like, duh, of course they would do it. No. Like, he doesn't have to do that. He's got another business. He's made money. He can do something else with his time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it feels like, and I'm saying like, hey, someone rich and a government official fight for the Albany teams. But seriously, like, that's what you need sometimes. Who is fighting for your city to keep that team? Who is fighting for your city to say the impact of the team? Mike's been an example of that for the Firebirds, but I don't know anybody else off the top of my head. Maybe Rick Murphy for the Valley Cats, but again, that's a little different. The franchise is there, but the affiliation is. That's it. Like, there's not a lot of people fighting for the cause.
Yeah, I'm happy that the Valley Cats actually stuck around after Rob Manfred robbed us of an affiliation with the New York Penn League and basically saying to the New York Penn League, we don't need you anymore. We're trying to cut costs. I'm like, what costs? Major League Baseball rolling in money every single year between television contracts and endorsement and advertisements and what money are you trying to save? You're just trying to get rid of a league because you don't feel like this level is needed anymore. But credit to the owners of the Valley Cats. I believe it was the Gladstone family, if I'm not mistaken, who owns the team, or the estate of the Gladstone family. They decided, you know what, this team is too important to not have baseball here. Baseball is too important to the Capital Region area. We've been here for a long time. We're going to play independent ball until something else comes along, like another affiliation, like another league, another minor league decides to come along and say, yeah, we want to give you a shot. We're going to play independent ball, and we're going to bring entertainment to the masses like we always did. And they still do it. They're still successful. I mean, they went to the playoffs last year after a really bad start, and they're off to a really great start this year too. And they're looking for a playoff berth in the Frontier League. So if the Valley Cats can find a way, hopefully other teams that come to the area, whether it be, and I'm hoping and praying the Firebirds can stick around and AF1 can stick around. But fun thing with the expansion announcement yesterday, Kentucky Barrels. That's a cool name.
Isn't that awesome? What a great name, right?
That's a great name. But I'm happy to see that AF1's expanding. Hopefully they find some solid people to be ownerships in those local municipalities, because Albany pulled it off. I mean, Billings has pulled it off. Nashville has pulled it off. You're hoping that another league is looking at the Albany area and saying, let's try something different. Let's maybe the AHL might say, let's give Albany a second look. We don't know which team's going to come through. I mean, we've had the New Jersey Devils, the New York Islanders, the Detroit Red Wings, Philadelphia Flyers, and Calgary Flames all look at this area and have succeeded in some way. And you can't tell me that and a National Hockey League team's looking at the AHL affiliation going, let's give Albany another look again.
You can always let us know how the show's going by at Tom Goz, TOMGOZZ, or at Who is Ryan MCC on Twitter. That's still your handle, right?
Yep. Always has been. Always. Well, I mean, hasn't always been my handle, but that's what I usually go by in all my social handles.
Love it, man. Before we talk about your favorite team and your home for Jets football here on Fox Sports Radio 95.9 and 90 New York Jets, usually Levack would do this, but I feel like you're far more better to do this than me. Let's talk about the Integrative Dental Sleep Services Center right there in Boston Spa. Levack knows about its success, but you, my friend, a client as well.
Absolutely. They helped me with my sleep apnea issues. Look, when you're a man or a woman of a certain age, you got to get your health stuff together. And one of those things that is always going to be helpful with your health is your sleep. If you get optimal sleep every night, you're going to have a great morning. You're going to have a great day. If you're somebody like me who likes to go to the gym, I've had my health journey, losing a bunch of weight, and doing a fairly good job keeping it off, but also getting my sleep optimized. And that's where Dr. Fred Dreer, his awesome staff are there to help you with that. They work with your insurance to make sure you get all the approvals you need. They get all the services done, like the x-rays, the sleep study. They take it home with you. That's the one cool thing about Dr. Dreer is that he sends you home with a sleep study kit. They monitor everything, your heart rate, your sleep levels, how often you're waking up in the middle of the night, all that stuff. And they work with you. They work with your insurance company, and they help me sleep better. And I've had my device for 5 years, and it's got me better nights of sleep. I don't snore as much as I used to, or if at all. But these Dr. Dreer, his staff, Lori, Ivy, all those great people, all that great staff at his office. I can't say enough about them. Actually, I should probably go back and see if I can get a new device, get my sleep study checked out, and make sure my sleep is optimal. So as a proud customer, I can tell you firsthand, this stuff works. And Dr. Dreer is an awesome guy, and he's helped me get better night's sleep.
518-885-6185. Again, that's 518-885-6185. Now I can go in and say, I heard it from Ryan McCarthy on Levack and Goz. I heard it from Levack. Stop in, take care of all those things, and work with a fantastic staff today. Let's talk Jets football coming up. Ryan McCarthy in for Levack. Goz here with you on Fox Sports Radio 95.9 and 980. With you on Fox Sports Radio 95.9 and 980. One half of Levack and Goz. Levack is enjoying his time in Florida. So far, so good. Ryan McCarthy in the Cardinal hanging with us for the next 2 hours here, or hour and a half. And Boston Dan invading his third hour, which he's not happy about. We're going to talk about that before this hour ends. But your home for Jets football here in the Capital Region is Fox Sports Radio 95.9 and 980. Jets football gets underway. We saw some preseason action. It's always interesting, exciting, different. I'll toss in there too when you actually get to talk to a Jet fan. And you, Ryan McCarthy, are a Jet fan. You saw the Jets play against the Giants. Didn't go very well, but it was a preseason game. Have your expectations or your hope changed in comparison to the last time we spoke, where I would say your optimism, which you usually are an optimistic person, seemed far less involving gangrene in 2025?
There's a little bit of worry in terms of the offense. I will say that the Justin Fields this time in at quarterback was suboptimal compared to the previous week against the Packers, where he was in for one drive and he led the Jets to a score and nearly completed all his passes, got the running game going, compared to this game against the Giants. And you could see a couple things with the Jets, and especially with Fields, that if you're a team that has a monstrous defensive line like the Giants do, especially at edge. You got Abdul Cardi on one side, you got Kayvon Thibodeau on the other side, you've got Dexter Lawrence in the middle. If you have a line just like that, you're going to give the Jets a little bit of trouble, especially, and I wouldn't say the Jets a little bit of trouble. You're going to give Justin Fields a little bit of trouble. And the reason why the Jets brought him in here is because he's a guy who can use his legs. He can get the running game going if he need to. If he's in trouble, he's chased out of the pocket. He can use his legs to create a play. We saw that in the game against Green Bay where he scored the touchdown, the only drive that they had. But I may have mentioned on last week's appearance at Mohawk Chevrolet. Shout out to Mohawk Chevrolet. I do have concerns about the defense, particularly on the defensive line, because they don't have a whole lot of depth right now. It was kind of clear to see that Quinnen Williams didn't play in this game, partially because he's been battling calf issues. And we all know that calf issues can also lead to torn Achilles tendons, and we don't want to see that. We know that history with the Jets and Achilles tendons.
Let me do a quick dumb Levack joke while you said that. Now I know how Levack sounds when I feel like he hears me. I'm thinking about my boys are at the zoo today, and I hear calf issues, and I imagine just people fighting actual calves.
Wow.
My sons are okay, by the way. Just the ducks they were getting into it with. But yes, he's dealing with body-like injuries, not actual calves.
Okay, not actual like moo calves or manatee
clear that up
or manatee calves. You know, it's we need to clarify that. But yeah, Sauce Gardner, same thing, having a calf issue with his lower leg, and Quantez Stiggers was in the lineup for him. Got burned on one play, didn't have the coverage up top with Andre Cisco. Not singing too busy singing the thong song to cover the Giants receiver that burned them for 80 yards.
Syracuse's own Andre Cisco.
That's right. Syracuse's own. I mean, I have my concerns. I think naturally you have every Jets fan and everybody who follows football for their respective teams, they have some sort of concern. For me, it's New York Jets. It's quarterback play. We don't know what we're going to see in Justin Fields. They signed him for 2 seasons. Second season is an option year. If it doesn't work out, okay, we'll hit the dead cap money and we'll let him go to another team and we'll draft a quarterback. It just seems like maybe that's the hand that they're going to play this year. But also defensive line is a depth's an issue. But if they're playing a team, if they're playing a team where the defensive line, the opposite defensive line is just an outstanding defensive line, I think you're going to see a little bit of trouble this year. They're going to really lean into that running game that they really want to bring in with Tanner Engstrand and Aaron Glenn, instituting a very similar system to what the Detroit Lions had last couple seasons with Dan Campbell. The one thing I will say is refreshing about having Aaron Glenn as your head coach is that he will be upfront and honest with you as to what they need to fix. We saw that in game 1 where Michael Clemens took that really stupid penalty, that personal foul, and immediately Aaron Glenn is just like, "You're out of the game. Sit down. Go sit down. You're nice done." And he wants players to be accountable because he was a player himself. He knows this market. He knows the Jets culture in a sense, and he's trying to establish one of his own here as a New York Jets head coach. At halftime during the Giants game, they're asking him a question about the offense. It's like, what's going on? What we got to do? He says, "We got some things to clean up. Plain and simple. We got to play better. We got to play better." And he's being upfront and honest. And you hear them about the New York media, those clowns down in New York City on WFAN and all those other competitors.
That's right.
All
those non-Fox Sports 95.9 and 9/8ers. That's right.
That's right. All those clowns saying, "Oh, Aaron Glenn shouldn't talk like that. He hasn't been a coach. He's not Bill Parcells." He knows Bill Parcells. He knows what type of player Bill Parcells made him into. When he even said it in his press conference. When I asked Bill Parcells, I said, "I want to go into coaching." He said, "You're going to do this first, then work your way up." He's worked his way up, and now he's a head coach. And this is always how Aaron Glenn has been as a player, and now you're seeing as a head coach. He's just being himself. And we can't leave room for him to be himself in front of the Jets beat, which we all know. Jets beat hate the fans. they hate Jets fans, and will do anything to I wouldn't say anything, but our mutual I wouldn't say friend, but our guy we both follow in the Jets realm, Jake Asman.
We'll call him a friend. We've had beers with him before.
Yeah,
you've won prizes with him.
I
guarantee you, if you and Jake ever met in person, you'd be like friend, and you'd hug and slowly embrace.
I have dropped her name in conversation with him.
Oh, good.
But I will say he has a way of bringing on some members of the Jets beat who I will give them credit for coming on his show and being accountable to the fans and saying this is the way I'm seeing it. But for them to give Aaron Glenn a lot of business about he's not why is he saying all that stuff? Why is he saying what he's saying in this way? Because he's Aaron Glenn. Let him be Aaron Glenn. Let him be the coach. And if you might change your mind once if they got a really hot start this year. Like, I'm looking at the schedule. If they get a good start before the bye week, if they're 4-4 or 5-3 at the bye, they have a good chance of going to the playoffs because their back end of their schedule is comparatively easier than the front end. I think you might see a lot of people change their tune about Aaron Glenn.
Could they be one of the worst teams in the NFL? Yeah. Like, the Saints could be in that mix. They could be really, really bad this season. The Jets could be really, really bad this season. We have teams who are looking for quarterbacks, and it feels like if it's one of those two, it's the worst team in the NFL. It's not going to shock a lot of people if they're sitting at the bottom. The Giants maybe were in that discussion, but the Giants played really well in that. The Browns, hell, some people think the Browns franchise is trying to tank this year to get Arch Manning. So could they be one of the worst three teams in the NFL? Sure. Could they finish 7-10, 8-9, and shock a lot of people and all of a sudden say they're a quarterback away, or the pieces have always been there, or Aaron Glenn's an awesome coach? Yeah. I think there's a lot potentially in play here for the Jets. I would like to say I'm more optimistic now on August 19th than I was when a lot of the changes happened, but that answer's no. Like, they went all in. They traded everything for Devontae. I'm less optimistic. I would tell you what's more likely: 4 wins, 7 wins, or 10 wins. I'd still probably say 4.
I will be. I'll probably say this might come back to no credentials required next week. I will say this: if the Jets finish 7-10, but every game they're competitive, I'll be happy with 7-10 because it's not 4-13, it's not 5-12, it's not. If they're competitive every single week, I will be very happy. Even if they're under 500, if they finish 7-10 or 8-9 or 6-11, I'll be happy as long as they stay competitive and they're not clowning around like the last regime did.
You heard it here. Ryan McCarthy, happiness is not too far away in his life, just a few weeks, a few months away. I also know what makes you pretty happy, and that's a tasty bucked up energy. A nice bucked up energy in your system can always make you feel good. Shout out to our friends at Bucked Up Energy who are helping us throughout the entire summer. However, the summer, because we're talking football more, is slowly coming to an end. We've got only about 2 weeks left of this whole competition. We've been competing all season long. Our guy Quinn, I got to update the standings here. Levack, give me an update. Our guy Quinn had a nice week last week. I believe I'm now in last place, even though back-to-back weeks I've cashed winners. So this might be one of our highest bankroll challenges we've had, and that's an awesome thing to have because we are supporting local charities across the capital region thanks to our friends from Bucked Up Energy. If you haven't had a Bucked Up Energy before, I like the Blood Raz. The Miami flavors are so good. You can find them at Stewart's. That is the most important part. If you're flying around the capital region or upstate New York, grab it before you go on that summer road trip. Give you the boost that you need. Bucked Up Energy. And I know Ryan knows about it because when he stops over that monthly appearance he has in that nice, tasty cooler, he's got some Bucked Up Energy stored, right? Nice and chilled, right, Ryan? That's when the Bucked Up Energies are the best.
I wish they were beers, but yes, Bucked Up Energy is usually in that cooler, and I usually have one for you, one for Levack, one for your I can't remember her name.
They're called promotion staff members.
One for your promotion staff members. Yes, she's gonna cut me if I forget, if I run into her again. Can't remember her name.
She changes her name every 6 months. She changes her name. It's a weird thing. It's like a Rihanna situation going on with her.
What's her name today?
Sir. Some peppermint patty scenario. I got to be very careful today. Bucked Up Energy. We appreciate their help. That's right. I want this to continue, this rivalry between you and Boston Dan, but I have an idea for No Credentials Required. This could potentially take over the Capital Region media landscape. I'm serious. It could. And it all could be started because of a man who goes by the nickname The Cardinal. Could a war, dare I call it a holy war, be on the way? I'll tell you more next here on Fox Sports Radio, 95.9 and 980. Levack and Goz here with you, closing out Hour and Roll on Fox Sports Radio 95.9 and 980. How dare I lie and say it's Levack and Goz. It is Ryan McCarthy in for Levack. Levack is off this week, enjoying the wonderful weather in Florida. I feel like when I say that, people think I'm being sarcastic. I don't believe Hurricane Aaron's going to touch Florida as of when you're listening to this, so I think he's going to have a nice time, maybe a couple rainy days, but not so bad. I have an idea, Ryan McCarthy, and I'm tossing this idea to Boston Dan, who's going to close out the show later on with us. I don't know what's happened since legalized sports wagering, but it feels like fantasy football is almost taking a back seat. Like fantasy football is not, again, is whether it's legal wagering, whether it's the fantasy football parlay, something has happened to the world of fantasy football, at least for me the last 2 years, where the impact in the overall discussion is not as that. Maybe Matthew Berry jumping around, maybe the fantasy guys putting out too much content. Let me throw this idea at you.
Okay.
I feel like I want team No Credentials Required versus team Fox Sports. A 12-team fantasy football league, 2 divisions, 6 teams apiece. So it would be like you and Dustin and whoever else you want to piece together representing Belly Up Sports versus me, Levack, Dan, potentially a listener or two. Hell, if you want Corey and Greenwich, you can get Corey and Greenwich to run a team.
Hi, guys!
Right? Anybody else who wants, anybody else who feels like they want to step up and lead it, maybe.
I got two. Yes. I got 2 other ones for you. I got Matthew Bopp, devoted listener Matthew Bopp, and 90s Kid.
You heard it right there. Hopefully those 2 guys are listening. Ryan listens to the show. He may personally send you a DM if they say yes to it. And again, I don't know if they're fantasy football guys. I don't know, but I kind of like this idea because we haven't had something like this. Like, I feel like it should be like standard practice. Like, hey, it'd be cool if again, we're just going to I don't know, Ken Schott and Sean Martin went up against Mark Singlaze. Like we see with the ESPN and NBC guys all the time. Like, why are we not doing that in the local media? What if AJ Penkowski was battling against Griffin Haas? Now, maybe nobody would care, but I feel like it's easy content and fun. But this is truly like one media company versus another media company. I know I'm forcing you to do this on the, dare I even call it the away turf of it. But what are your thoughts? Does it have some type of validity? Should we pursue something like this?
I dig it. I love it. I love this idea. Let's put it together. Let's put something together and have one division, the No Credentials Required / Belly Up Sports division. The other division, Fox Sports 980 division. And do we want to keep it inside the divisions until the playoffs? Or do we want to have it mix it up like American League, National League?
I think everybody plays everybody once. Okay. So that would be like 11. If we're going to do 12 teams, that'd be 11 matchups. And then within that division, you play a division. Again, we'll just let the AI take over.
Yeah.
You have to play within your division. Like, you've got 3 divisional games. So we'll start the playoffs week 15. No money, no cash needed, just bragging rights on social media and a trophy. That's all you need. I don't know if Belly Up Sports has their own format. I don't know if you have to use Fox or Yahoo or ESPN. I don't know what format we have to use. Maybe the traditional standard. But I want this to happen, and I'm glad you're on board with this. This makes me feel good.
Yeah, I think it's scrunch up some people to, besides me and Dustin, to participate. Pretty sure we can do that.
Is Dustin a fantasy guy?
Yeah, Dustin's a fantasy guy. We're in the same league. We're in the league together, actually. We got to do our draft pretty soon.
Ooh. You know what'll happen? We'll infiltrate the draft with steel chairs. By God, Corey Greenwich is here. He's invaded the No Credentials draft room. No,
that's 90s kids music.
Oh God, he's got a kendo stick.
Matthew Bob's got a ladder.
All right, beautiful.
He's climbing up to the top. By God, he's gonna be 20 feet up high.
Yes, that's what we need. All right, good. Because I realized that I'm in the iHeart. You know what? Yeah, I'll do this. I'm in the iHeart Albany League. This is a sad state that radio's in. I'm in the iHeart Media League, and what I noticed when I worked for another company, when I worked for Town Square, I was like, man, every year there's a different team. Like, why are there always different? Oh, because the rule was you had to be in the building. As people left, they kept having to change the fantasy. Who eventually the commissioner left, and I'll give Levack crap about this because I told him he was stupid when he was doing it. When we both left Town Square, Levack threw a big fuss that he got kicked out of the fantasy football league, and then they let him back in, and the boss was like, "Oh, your invites in your email." You don't work there anymore. It's weird. So in this iHeart League, there's 4 people who don't work here anymore. Another one's in Green Bay. I love our commissioner, Allen. I think that speaks far more to the business than anything else. I want full-on rivalry here, and I want to kick about 3 people out of the iHeart League, but I don't want to run it. So those are my complaints on file.
I got an idea for a league, but I don't want to run it.
I don't want to run it. I'm feeling more of a big picture idea feel today. So those are all the things that anyone else can do except me, obviously.
Yes, I don't want to run it, but I want to take part.
I have a phone call later today. If you listen to our Friday show, you know that we got off, and maybe if you listen to our Monday show, we've had some issues where if we're a horse, we're not getting out of the gate at the right time. So they're like, hey, why don't you just call the boss and he'll figure out the computer issue. One of the examples is, guys, why don't you just do all of it? Levack's off. I mean, just do the show, the production, the setup for the event, install the computer, run the board. I'm like, okay, I wonder how that call is going to go. This is the world we live in now. But no, it's not. We're about fantasy football. It's the topic we were discussing, and we will be in Team Belly Up Sports / No Credentials versus Team Fox Sports. It'll get launched by somebody at some point before the NFL season kicks off. That's what we've determined.
We got 2 weeks, so we can figure it out by then.
All right. I know we'll figure this out. The second hour of the show. The big Cinco's on the way. We've got more conversation on the way. I'm looking forward to it. Our guy, Ryan McCarthy, is in for Levack here on Fox Sports Radio, 95.9 and 980. It is the big Cinco, the 5 biggest stories of the world of sports on a Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Ryan McCarthy is in for Levack here. Ryan, I know. Do you want to do the Levack yell? Do you want to yell out something? Do you want to make a noise before we get into
let's do some. It's 5. All right.
Yes, there we go. The Big Cinco brought to you by our friends at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. We have our mics are on during the break, which sometimes is a dangerous thing. And you mentioned to me, you're like, the hell happened last night? Did the Rockies beat the Dodgers? Yes, the Rockies beat the Dodgers last night. Arguably one of the worst Major League Baseball teams of all time. The Colorado Rockies rallied to beat the Dodgers on a Monday night 4-3 on a walk-off hit in the 9th inning. The Dodgers have been 13-15 since the All-Star break. The Rockies are 14-15 since the All-Star break.
What?
Yes. Now they still
cats and dogs living together. Not hysteria.
They still trail the Dodgers by 35 games in the standings right now. But when we look back at this, does this mean anything? Does this mean it's one of the great upsets in a Major League Baseball regular season? Does it mean baseball is really weird? Or does it mean sell as fast as you can on Dodgers stock for the 2025 World Series? Or a little mix of everything?
I'm going to say little column A, little column B, little column C. Because baseball, every dog has its day in baseball. And just to be optimistic about the Rockies, they're 30.5 games back of the wild card. So,
okay.
All you're saying there's a chance.
That's right.
Like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber.
The Rockies stink.
The Rockies are awful. Listen, I mean, for our show, No Credentials Required, we have the race to the wooden spoon. Dustin snatched the Rockies out of my hand early in the season. He's riding them to a bag of Invader coffee as one of our sponsors here at No Credentials Required. But no, baseball is just, it's a weird sport. Baseball is a weird sport. I would be selling on the Dodgers. I would be buying the Brewers. Fun fact, I believe the Brewers have as many wins during their 47-48 game stretch that I think they're 30. I think they're 37-10 in their last 47 games. And the Rockies have 36 wins altogether this year.
Oh, gosh.
just terrible. But this is just baseball. That's baseball, Susan, as
Nice.
the great John Sterling would say. So yeah, baseball is weird. But I'd be selling on the Dodgers right now. If they have the same record, almost the same record as the Rockies after the All-Star break, something's going on in Los Angeles, and I'm not sold on them probably repeating as world champion this year.
Pass on the Dodgers. I have nothing. I'd rather fire a bet off on the Brewers, the Mets, anybody else in the National League. Hell, you want to get wild throwing out on Cincinnati? No.
Ooh.
No value left in the Dodgers. The value somewhere else. I'm not rooting for them. I know they're super talented, but I don't think you can do an NBA-style approach of just bail on the regular season and show up in the postseason in baseball. I'll have to be proven wrong. Now, if they have three guys coming out of the bullpen again, throwing 107 8th and 9th inning, I might want to change my opinion, but I need to see that again. A pass right now on the 19th of August for the Dodgers, but as you mentioned, baseball's weird in a good way. We'll move on to story number 4 here. You're going to notice a theme here in today's Big Cinco, a lot of quarterback talk. If you're a college football fan, things are kind of weird, and maybe it's a weird conversation here for the Big Cinco, because if you missed it, Auburn head football coach Hugh Freeze was asked about his starting quarterback for their upcoming Week 1 game and asked, is it a possibility that they could play 3 quarterbacks? Hugh Freeze, yes. Notre Dame football, as the time of you and I having this conversation, has not named a starting quarterback for their game against Miami. Oh, and by the way, Syracuse football, who had 2 transfers who came in, Ricky Collins from LSU and Steve Angeli from Notre Dame. Yeah, you notice I said Notre Dame didn't name a starting quarterback. Well, the guy who might have been their starting quarterback now plays for Syracuse. He was named their starting quarterback yesterday. I feel like later in this hour, again, something off the air you mentioned to me, you want me to talk a little college football with you about why 2025 season might entice non-college football fans. But is this the stuff that aggravates you about the sport when you have the transfer portal, different quarterbacks, different schools, and you don't know who the hell's playing the most important position before Week 1 in college? Hint, hint, clue later on in the Big Cinco.
Yes. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I've kind of stopped following college football. I mean, I'm looking at as we record this, as of 20 minutes ago, BYU named their starting quarterback for this year. It's a true freshman, and he's the first true freshman to start an opener for BYU on opening day.
Is it Bear Brockmeyer? Is his first name Bear?
Bear Brockmeyer. Yes. Nice. Great name. Just great name. He's going to wear number 47. Just a heads up here. So,
is he really as a quarterback?
Yes, as a quarterback. Awesome. I mean, this is the last time I saw a quarterback wear a high number. I mean, he was the guy who got me into college football. Doug Flutie also got me into the CFL as well. But yes, back to our main subject. Yes, between the transfer portal that never got closed after COVID and NIL free agency, if you want to call it that. It's very, and also the conference shifting, the conference shifting, people, all these teams going to different conferences or jumping up into FCS from FCS to FBS. It's very difficult for me, who once was I wouldn't say a hardcore fan, but paid enough attention to get to really be into it and be really invested. I mean, for once upon a time, I was a really invested Penn State fan, but now I'm kind of I'm a casual. I'm a casual viewer, casual follower. If somebody brings it up in conversation, I'll go, yeah, I saw something about that, but I don't have enough knowledge of it to really get into it. So, but yeah, I mean, those 3 factors have really kind of turned off my college football viewing.
I'm going to sell you on college football later this hour. Before you sign off on that microphone, I'm going to sell you on the 2025 season. But before that, let's move on to story number 3 here. Mets Nationals, a little earlier start than usual, 6:45 start as we get closer and closer to September. A battle of NL East players. Well, I wouldn't say the Nationals are much of a player anymore in this division. David Peterson on the mound for the Mets. We are contractually obligated to say that, as Levack and I are big fans of Peterson every time he's on the mound. Jake Irvin on the mound for the Nationals. The biggest question for the New York Metropolitans, and it still hasn't been answered in August 19th, is that they do, in fact, have to have pitchers on the mound during the games. And at one point, one of those pitchers might be very important for them to get to the postseason. They had their slow stretch of trying to find wins again. And then all of a sudden, it seemed as if the Alonso record-breaking game was going to be the one that re-sparked the season. And then that didn't happen. And now we sit here going into tonight's matchup with the Cincinnati Reds just one game back of the Mets. How do you feel about the New York Mets for the rest of the upcoming season? Optimistic, pessimistic, rooting for, rooting against? What's your take on the blue and orange?
I have mixed feelings about the Mets. I was pseudo rooting for them in the beginning of the season, especially going into May, June, and then the All-Star game hit, and all of a sudden they just dropped off a cliff. And between lack of hitting, their pitching going to heck, I'm still kind of on the pessimistic side, considering how they're clinging on to a one-game wild card lead against the Cincinnati Reds team that has been surging for quite a while. But they're playing a Nationals team that has disappointed me. I thought the Nationals were going to take a kind of a leap this season. I thought they'd be kind of a surprise wild card contender. Unfortunately, has not been in the cards for them. And another player who, after the home run derby, has kind of fell off a cliff too is James Wood. James Wood has been not that good for the Nationals since he got back from the All-Star break. I actually picked him to win the home run derby, but unfortunately that didn't work out. He was eliminated in the first round, but this is a must-win for the Mets. They're playing a dog water team in the Nationals, and if they lose 2 out of 3, I don't know how the mental state of Mets fan is going to be. The only one that I really judge it on is Frank the Tank. We don't know how he is on Twitter. We know how if I need to check in on the mental status of a Mets fan, I just go to his account and you'll just see negative posts and the videos that come out and they're profanity laden. He paints a canvas very well with profane words, but if I need to check in with the mental wellness of a Mets fan, I check in with him. But this is a must-win series for the Mets to keep in the conversation for the wild card. Otherwise, something's got to happen. There's some shakeup that's got to happen with that team.
It's amazing to think about that. You and I, our reference point for Mets fans is the great Frank Fleming from Barstool Sports, the now slim and trim Frank the Tank, who's looking good.
Very inspirational.
Also, I kept liking how you were asking where James Wood is, and I think it was the great philosopher DMX who's something like where the wood at. Although I think he said where the hood at, one of DMX's all-time great songs. Talent. They're still better. It's the scene in dodgeball. We're better than you, and we know it. Can't the Mets just say that to the Reds? Well, I just came off a conversation with the Dodgers. Could have said that to the Rockies. So maybe it's not that simple. Come on, Mets fans. Hang in there.
You don't want Chuck Norris to be the final judge of your season.
No, you don't want that to happen. Yankees Rays story number 2, 7:35 first pitch tonight. No, that scene at the end, man, when White Goodman's got the big belly. They basically stole that same scene in Sonic 3. It's still hilarious with less swearing, obviously. Yankees Rays 7:35 first pitch tonight. The Yankees hope to at least slow the thought process of whether or not the Red Sox can catch them, the wild card standings, where in the world the Mariners stack up, and everything else. Yankees Rays. Is this the game Levack's going to? Do we know? Do you feel like here's a storyline I'm going to cook up for Rays Yankees tonight? How many of these games should Levack go to if he's in Tampa over the next few days? So we know one is definitely scheduled.
Yeah, you should go to at least one. Hopefully there's not a rain out. I know this year it's a fun fact that this year was the first year that the Tampa Bay Rays ever had a rain delay. What a great stat. I had no idea. Yeah, this was the first, I think it was in May, was the first time ever that the Tampa Bay Rays, a home game for the Tampa Bay Rays was delayed due to a rain delay. But yeah, Levack should go to at least one game. I don't know if he'll be able to smoke a cigar in the stands. That's usually his go-to when the Yankees need some good mojo. He listens to the radio in his backyard and lights a cigar. I don't know if he can do that at Steinbrenner Field, but if he's allowed to, then absolutely do it. Do it for all 3 games, Levack. Do it for all 3 of those games. But if you go to one, make it tonight. Let the Yankees get off to a good start. Keep up that momentum from the sweep of the Cardinals in this past weekend.
We'll move on to story number one. It's odd on a random Tuesday in August that a baseball story is not number one, and especially with New York storyline, but breaking news, if you want to call it that. I think it's not so much of the time of when you're hearing the news, but being so far away from kickoff that the Indianapolis Colts have officially named Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback. I want to dive a lot deeper into this story, especially New York Giant fans, what it means for the Giants franchise, what it means for the Colts, Anthony Richardson. I want all those storylines coming up in about 5 minutes. But Ryan, I'll do what's one of my new favorite things to do in the Big Cinco. Your initial reaction to hearing the story was what? Save some of those for me for later on, but your initial reaction.
I hope he's got a whip. Dun, 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 dun. Indiana Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Your starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts.
It's such a better nickname than Danny Dimes, isn't it? It's so much better.
It's so much better. It fits so well.
You got to play the music. The Colts crowd's educated. They actually do get quiet on offense from the days of Paint Mania. All right, we're diving into this. The artist formerly known as Danny Dimes now is Indiana Jones. What does it mean for those storylines I laid out? We'll tell you all that coming up in about 5 minutes. But first, let's say about our friends over at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. Did you see the big announcement on social media this afternoon, Tuesday, August 19th? If you missed it, I've been teasing it all week. Head on to Mohawk Honda's social media channels to find out. I should say the secret. I'll say it tomorrow, but get them their clicks, man. Give them those clicks. Give them those likes. I don't want to steal their mojo, their social media pull, the algorithm. So one more day, if you missed it this afternoon, they had a really cool event there in Glenville, New York. Levack and I in the past have been a part of these great events in Mohawk Honda. If you don't know what it is, check out their social media channels. Don't forget about their beautiful vehicles. 2025 Pilot EXL sitting in my driveway. Also, my wife loves her Odyssey. Find a vehicle that you're going to love for the future. And I say love in the sense that not just you can tell your friends and get compliments, but there are going to be days like we found out as a family of 5 that the car seat is going to have some weird things in it. And your kids are going to drop things on the floor. And you're wondering, what is this? And you have to clean it up as a parent, I found out, because you have babies. But Mohawk Honda will make that cleanup process a little easier. Not because they're going to do it for you. Again, this is your decision. You had multiple children. Mohawk Honda will make you love your vehicle when you're cleaning up random stains in the vehicle. It's Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. More on the way next. Yes, Levack and Goz, Fox Sports Radio, 95.9 and 980. Levack and Goz here with you on Fox Sports Radio, 95.9 and 980. No voice girl Callie this week. She's also requested the week off. No Levack this week. Our guy, the Cardinal, Ryan McCarthy, at Who Is Ryan MCC on Twitter. If you want to say how wonderful of a job he's doing, if you want to insult his takes, he is there to do all those things. Maybe Giant fan, you want to insult Ryan like you've done to Daniel Jones over the course of the last 6, 7, gosh, was it really 8 years Daniel Jones was on the Giants? Well, for the Danny Dimes stands, for the, as you called it just a few minutes ago, the new Indiana Jones fans, he has been named the starting quarterback of the Colts. Now, before we dive into some of these deeper questions of what the impact, if at all, means for the Giants and the organization, let me I open with a basic one. Can we even correlate his success or next team or venture for the Colts franchise? Can there really be, or are we like, is this like a fresh start? Like everything's in the past. We can't do Daniel Jones for the Giants and even compare him to what will be Daniel Jones of the Colts.
So doing a real-time research here. He was at the Giants 6 seasons. So
felt like 15.
It felt like 20. Let's be honest. It felt like 20. Daniel Jones named the starting quarterback in week 1 for the Indianapolis Colts. I had to think it was by default, considering the injury to Anthony Richardson in the first game, dislocated finger. Those take a while to come back from. I think you would have to say it's a fresh start for Daniel Jones. You're an assistant. You're getting a new start. You were released by the Giants last year towards the end of the year. You go to Minnesota. You're in the practice squad for a cup of coffee. Still making the salary that you did with the Giants. And then they signed a deal with the Indianapolis Colts in the offseason just to because you need to stay with a team and they need a backup quarterback because they figured, all right, we're gonna hitch your wagon to Anthony Richardson. Well, we all know what Anthony Richardson's history has been so far in the NFL. Injury. injury laden so far in the NFL, which is unfortunate because he drafted him a couple of years ago, hoping he'd be the guy who would carry this team forward. Last season it was Joe Flacco. Season before it was Gardner Minshew, and they almost got them into the playoffs if it wasn't for a pass that sailed over the head of their third string running back on a very important down. They would be in the playoff conversation 2 seasons ago. But for a team that's kind of looking for stability at quarterback, and they've been looking for it, to be honest, since Andrew Luck decided to say, see you later, before the 2018 season, the last preseason game of the 2018 season, he decided to hang up the cleats because he's tired of being beaten up. This team's been looking for stability ever since. They haven't been able to find it. And I think they're trying to find it in Daniel Jones, maybe for a season, maybe 2 seasons. I don't remember how long that contract is. I'll do some real-time research on that while we talk. But yeah, it's definitely I think it's very fair to say that this is a fresh start for Daniel Jones in a new city, a new setting. But is it for the long term? I doubt it. I mean, Colts fan, get at me. Talk to me. I wouldn't say talk me down from the ledge, but just be reasonable in your own findings.
It's amazing to think about this dude with Anthony Richardson. By the way, we should give him the respect that he deserves. That is Anthony Richardson Sr. to us. He did change his name. It's Anthony Richardson Sr. How dare we? That's right. So Anthony Richardson Sr. The amazing part about his career, I remember where I was. I was at the Turning Stone Casino Sportsbook, and I know it's changed a lot, but at one point there was like an opening where it had all the TVs, and one of my buddies said for his bachelor party, he wanted to just sit and watch college football and drink and gamble all Saturday long. And for some people, they say that sounds like a lame bachelor party. And other people just heard that and said, that's heaven. That's my dream. 9 hours of football, buddies, betting, and more, and no interruptions. So that's what he did. And we left that. That's like early September 2021. If you remember that weekend, Anthony Richardson played against South Florida, and his stats in that game were ridiculous. He had 152 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, which he only threw the ball 3 times. Wait, what? He threw the ball 3 times for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oh, and by the way, he also had 4 carries in that game for 115 yards and a touchdown. This guy touched the ball 8 times and scored 3 touchdowns and had over close to 300 yards. And as a freshman, wearing the number 15. So you can imagine how many beers deep were like, hey, who the hell was that 15 from Florida? Was it Tebow? Didn't look like Tebow. Wait, he's a freshman? He did what? He had one of the most ridiculous debuts you could as a redshirted freshman because the rules had changed. So he comes back with a ton of hype, and one of his best games he plays later on in his career is against Alabama, and he plays good, and he plays okay against Georgia. But that's kind of what put him over the top, right? Like Anthony Richardson, as a redshirted freshman, played well in some of those games. And you think back and be like, well, if you play really good against good competition and you're 6'4" and can fly and run and everything else, like that's pretty good if you're playing like that in your most important games of your career. The problem is he got to the league, couldn't read a defense, couldn't figure out we'll call it the mental toughness involving the league, and he stinks. He's not good. There's more that goes into Florida. There's more that goes into the NFL than being really good at Florida. That's it. That's just what happened.
Yep.
They took a gamble on a guy who had all these incredible physical tools, and it never worked out.
Yeah, you can say that about a lot of college football quarterbacks. They played really well in college. They go to the NFL, and they just stink. By the way, I looked on Spot Track. Shout out Spot Track. Daniel Jones, 1 year, $14 million. I changed my mind. We're going full tank, baby. We're going full tank. Daniel Jones is the tank driver.
Choo, 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 choo. Man. You know what? Let's go ahead.
I wish. I'm sorry. I say that jokingly because look, the Colts, quarterback withstanding, they still have a lot of talent on that side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, Jonathan Taylor's your running back. You got one of the best young wide receivers in the game. And I'm trying to remember his name. Please hold. I know.
About T.Y. Hill? You talking about Michael Pittman Jr.? You talking about the kid they just drafted?
I'm talking about Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce. Plus, you have Tyler Warren, who you're hoping to be is your next Dallas Clark. I mean, that guy is. I wish the Jets. I was praying the Jets would draft him at 10. They went another direction. I'm okay with that. I mean, offensively, again, quarterback withstanding, this team has too much talent to tank. Their defense is a different issue altogether. But for the race for Arch Manning, the Colts could be in the conversation, but we don't even know what Arch Manning's going to be at Texas right now. And yes, there's a little bit of college football knowledge, Jimmy Goz. Yay, go!
I like it.
Go Cardinal. But you hear his name dropped so many times in conversation that you can't help but bring him up somehow. But if the Colts are going to be terrible, and Arch Manning Ball has a great season at Texas and decides to declare, and the Colts are in the conversation for top 3 pick, and if even the Saints, who you can say Kellen Moore is currently your best quarterback.
Crazy. It's that bad. They stink.
Your head coach is your best quarterback.
Boise State's own.
I don't mean to be mean, but
no,
it's true.
At one point, he was the winningest quarterback in the history of college football. That's what Kellen Moore was. Let's offer this question up about Daniel Jones and the Colts. Although I think he's benefited from a few things, whether it be more experience in the league, being able to read a defense, having $14 million as his contract. There are two main. No. Let's do this one and then Daniel Jones. There is more benefit for the Colt franchise not starting Anthony Richardson for the future of the franchise if they think he stinks, because you could at least try to trade him. Like, you got a 5th-year option that's due for the 2027 season. You've got Riley Leonard on your roster now, who was really good in college, where it's like, if we don't want Anthony Richardson, somebody else might, and we can get at least a pick out of him. We're probably not going to get a pick out of Daniel Jones because all the other teams had 2 opportunities to get him. The Vikings ended up picking him up when they got cut, and then they had this last offseason. There's no reason to dump on Riley Leonard yet because of the same thing. Everybody else could have drafted him. They kind of already showed their hands about these 2. We don't know what the league's value thinks of Anthony Richardson. So at least 1, you could potentially offer up a trade to somebody else for that. And 2, going forward with Daniel Jones, there's a new quarterback on the way. Like, it makes more sense for that. We're not going to be at a part where buyer's remorse, right? Like, let's say Jones plays well for like 6 weeks and Wilson struggling for the Giants or Dart's not good. We're never going to live, and you did this reference in hour 1, there is not a darkest timeline where Daniel Jones is tearing it up for the Colts and Giants stinking or saying, please, we want Daniel Jones back. Is there?
Let's look at their schedule. Week 1, the Dolphins. Week 2, the Broncos. Week 3, at Tennessee. Week 4, at Los Angeles. Week 5, Vegas. Week 6, the Cardinals. If Daniel Jones plays well, you could see him at 4-2 after 6 weeks. And then you bring up the question of, wait, did the Giants give up on Daniel Jones too soon? Like, what if Russell Wilson stinks? What if Jameis Winston stinks? What if Jackson Dart has to start by week 6? In the darkest timeline, the Colts are going 0-6. But realistically, if Jones plays well, if he adjusts to this offense and has chemistry with his receivers, and Jonathan Taylor is, knock on wood, injury free, I could potentially see a 4-2 start to the first 6 weeks of the season.
Imagine that. Colts fans, with a division where you come off Tennessee is the worst team in the NFL. You come off the Texans, well, again, for the second consecutive season, a brutal schedule and an injury to Tank Dell. The Jaguars, every year they get preseason hype, and every year they can't live up to the hype. It's year 1 already for Liam Cohen out there in Jacksonville. So who knows, Colts fan? It feels like since the moment, and you referenced this just a few minutes ago, the moment once Andrew Luck walked off the field with his injury, got booed out of the building there, they have pieced it together with Phillip Rivers, Richardson, Jones. I'm sure I'm missing a few other ones in that one. Did Joe Flacco play for the Colts at some point?
He played for them last year.
Right? Did Jim Harbaugh?
He was there last year. Gardner
Crazy.
Minshew, as I mentioned a couple of years ago. Yeah, I mean, let's just face it. Let's just face facts. Here comes a hot take from the Cardinal. The AFC South stinks. It is I would say right now, it's going to replace the NFC South as the worst division in football. And it might start this year.
It's remarkable about the division when it's bad. And I'm with you from like a marketing, from a promotion standpoint. I wish I had better numbers off the top of my head, but I know for a fact the Titans had the number 1 seed like 5 years ago, and that's the Bengal game where they lost. I could have sworn the Texans had a 21-point lead against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs came all the way back. The Jaguars had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter against a Brady-led Patriot team. Did I miss somebody? I feel like I got all 4 there. Oh, the Colts. The Colts were in the Deflategate game. So, like, I needed 4 examples of the last 12 years to be like, once in a while, they're not terrible, but most of the time you are. You know, yeah. A weird analogy, but, you know, some of your guys don't have a lot of game when they go to the bars. Once over the last 10 years, they might have found a cute girl. Once in the last 10 years. 4 times. The numbers aren't adding up for the AFC South. No. Daniel Jones, if he actually is good and the quarterbacks for the Giants stink, I think that speaks way more about Joe Shane and Brian Daboll than it does about anything else, or the coaching staff for the Colts, because never once did I be like, oh, man, Daniel Jones is right. I know he had the playoff season. I know he had a game against the Vikings, but never did I ever think from the moment Dave Gettleman took and I'll say it, I know it's old, you've listened, the 5th best quarterback in the ACC that year. Didn't make an all-conference team, but because he kind of looked like Eli Manning, and he wasn't the late Dwayne Haskins, and he wasn't 5'9" like Kyler Murray, that Dave Gettleman fell in love. So, no, I don't think it'll affect the Giants, and I don't think Daniel Jones will do very well. I think 4-2 is that might be a bucked up energy bet between you and I, how many wins the Colts have after 6 games.
Okay. One aside before we go to the next break or next segment. Daniel Jones and Jim Bob Cooter. Jim Bob Cooter could look like Daniel Jones's dad. They look a lot alike.
Gosh, I didn't even notice that till you just mentioned that. Oh, man. Look at this thing. It's unbelievable.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh.
I just noticed that. Look at the Colts staff. Oh, man.
Oh, man. Look at that thing. Incredible.
So good.
All right. Let's move on to coming up on the way. We're going to talk more about college football. The Cardinal has some questions about this upcoming season, whether they be local, national, and more. But first, let's talk about Modiano Motorsports. We are getting closer and closer to the racersforautism.com. Head to that website so you can be a part of this wonderful race that's coming up on that first Friday in September. We were a part of the event last year at the Albany Saratoga Speedway. We want to make sure that you can also be a part of it this year as well. Racers for Autism is the site that you want to visit. Jordan Modiano and his staff there helping you get ready again for the 4th annual Upstate Chevy Dealers Autism Acceptance Race. It's a really cool thing. If you missed our conversation with Jordan, head over to Apple and Spotify where you can learn more and find out where you can donate as well. So many racers helping out with a great cause. And Modiano Motorsports, along with our friends at Bucked Up Energy, are adding $500 to the pot this year, supporting a local charity here in the capital region with our wagers, thanks to Bucked Up Energy and Modiano Motorsports helping you this upcoming season. Shout out to Jordan and his team. We're talking a little college football, and is it almost too much hype? You heard the Cardinal referencing Arch Manning. Maybe he's public enemy number 1 for the no credentials land. We'll figure all that out coming up next on our final segment of hour number 2. Fox Sports Radio, 95.9 and 980. Levack and Goz here with you on Fox Sports Radio, 95.9 and 980. Hour number 2 is about to wrap up. Our guy Boston Dan, Hooters Dan. We've decided, yeah, I know, right? We've decided to let a group chat out in public. He's going to close out hour number 3, but the new rivalry in the Capital Region sports world, the Cardinal Ryan McCarthy, the holy war. We talked about fantasy football earlier. We might have some battles between the Belly Up Sports team that you're a part of and our team over here at Fox Sports. You mentioned this to me, though, earlier in the hour about the college football landscape. It feels like you're being annoyed, frustrated. You found yourself with a falling out in the college football world, and I can't tell what is the root of this issue. I feel like you and I had a little discussion about this last year, and it was about the playoff, and I don't know, maybe the playoff changes. What is your feeling here in August?
I mean, I mentioned in the Big Stinko. I'm sorry, the Big Cinco.
Stinko, please. That was incredible work. If you missed it, Apple and Spotify, it was media changing, some would say.
Yes, media changing with Stinko Man and Timu Levack. No, I like I mentioned in at the top of the hour, I have a sense of ennui when it comes to college football. I want to follow it. I want to talk about it more. But with so many changes to player transfers and the portal just being wide open like Stargate. Nerd alert, Stargate. With the conferences, with teams changing conferences and moving conferences and some conferences growing bigger and eventually you're going to have two of the conferences break away and make their own league. Let's just face facts. All right. Big 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 through 18, like them and the SEC are going to break off. You're going to see some teams break off from the ACC to join that elite conference or whatever it's going to be called. I don't know what to call it. Let's just call it the college elite, like the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes back in the day. The college elite. You have
be elite. Be elite.
See, we got the cheer already. Then you have the NIL money coming in. It's become the wild, wild west, and it's really difficult for me to keep up. So, guys, I'm seeking your advice. Let me know what your copay is going to be. If it's going to be like a case of Bucked Up or like another like a beer, or a beer at the Orange Roof whenever we go back again. To talk me down from the ledge a little bit when it comes to college football, locally, nationally. Help me out. What storylines are you looking at that can get me hooked in, keep me interested from week 0 all the way up to the conference championships and into the playoff?
Locally, I'll give you this selling point. Albany is in a tough spot. We like Coach Gattuso, but that is a tough spot as a program to lose your coach there for recruiting purposes and more.
Ed Orgeron, hello.
I'd love that rumor you started on social media. I'd love for Coach O to come back. He's got some upstate New York ties. It's gonna be rough. Right. Yeah, right. Like it's gonna be some rough ties. I was tides there. Yeah, rough. I guess tides. That worked. For Albany Great Dane football this season, they're gonna struggle. RPI football may also struggle, but I love the idea that Union with my former assistant coach, Coach John Girock, second season with the Garnet Chargers. They might compete against his old school he coached at, my alma mater, the Hobart Statesman. So if you need an interesting storyline there, Union might be the team locally to follow this season in the college ranks. Syracuse got a tough schedule. Not a great selling point for you locally. You know what? Fran Brown's cool. He's got an interesting personality. You could hear the coaches show allegedly on this station, Fox Sports Radio 95.9 and 980. So Fran Brown, something you can get into in week 1. Okay. On a national perspective, here's this. If you find a school, and I know you've mentioned that you've rooted for other schools in the past, whether that be because of geography, success, cool players. If you find a school and you like to do this, and I know this will fit right in your wheelhouse, try your best as a traveling man that you are, a man who likes to take adventures, to get to one of the tailgates. Like, maybe you take a tailgate run back to Happy Valley because there's a chance Penn State. I actually would pick Penn State to win the national championship. If someone forced me right now and said who's going to win the national championship, I pick Penn State. Okay. That you go to Happy Valley and watch a game and do the tailgate, the full experience. You go down to Oxford, Mississippi, get ready for Ole Miss, or you go down to Death Valley for an LSU game at night. I was fortunate enough. Gosh, I am old, and I hate that I keep referencing stuff that I'm old, but it's true. 10 years ago, I did the world's largest outdoor cocktail party for Florida, Georgia. Ooh. So I went down to Jacksonville to watch the Gators and the Bulldogs, and it was awesome. And I wanted to be a fan of both those teams because there was so much passion for the fan bases. So Locally, it's a tough sell
Yeah.
to give you one that you'd want because it's just the timing of this is tough.
I
Finding
know.
a team.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know
No.
Hudson Valley. You have a couple of
Yes,
Firebird
out to
coaches.
Hudson Valley. Thank you.
Yes, you have a couple of coaches from our your Albany Fire, your undefeated, undisputed, undeniable Albany Firebirds, 12-0, Forged in Fire. They're are on the coaching staff of the Hudson Valley Vikings. So
yes, and by the way,
point.
for those who can't see this, by the way, Ryan and I are connected in the virtual world. I should have known that as I see the Firebird banner is right behind us for like the last 90 minutes. Like, how do I drop the ball and not literally even staring at their logo through our connection? Anyways, so if that doesn't work, those local connections and me dropping the ball in Hudson Valley there, you could always do this. And I don't judge you for this. I know you're a man of faith. I'm not going to judge you. If you want to gamble, invest on the games. There is no better sport in the United States of America to wager on than college football. Because let me tell you, if you only bet on college football, you can wake up on let me paint the picture for you through this audio media platform. It's a beautiful Saturday. The weather's about 60 degrees, 55. There's Ryan McCarthy at his humble abode deciding, do I wear jeans and a hoodie? Do I put on shorts and a t-shirt? And slowly you find himself slipping into a hooded sweatshirt and shorts, which is the best outfit for big guys like us to wear. There's nothing better than hoodie short season.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
There he goes out for his hoodie short season. He's like, do I want a coffee? What am I feeling this morning on this beautiful fall afternoon? And you drive yourself over to get a nice early lunch, about a 10:30 lunch, maybe a nice big fat sub, your favorite drink. You get back to the crib. It's 11:15. You're like,
after I record, no credentials required. Ding.
After a wonderful episode of No Credentials Required, and you listening, if you're painting this picture, you've obviously been listening live to No Credentials Required as you go get your early lunch and your shorts and your hoodie, and then you sit down. You're like, what does my schedule look like today? And there you bring out your phone. I don't think Purdue and Iowa are going to score a lot of points at noon. Let me bet the under. 30-30 SEC game. I kind of like the dog at home because the crowd's crazy. Let me fire off another wager. And then you're up. And then you're like, you know what? I want this West Coast game. And then you lose. And you're down a few bones. And you're like, you know what? There's only one way to make this up. I'm kind of not very tired. Gotta fire off a bet on Hawaii at midnight kickoff Eastern. And then you fall asleep. That's how I can sell it to you. Some people become NFL fans because of fantasy football. Some people become fans of college basketball because of the NCAA tournament. If my selling point for tailgates didn't work for you, you start investing in college football, the best sport to wager on.
All right. I do have a connection to the University of Hawaii, though. So
really?
Yes. I interviewed their current special teams coach, Jeff Reinbold. I interviewed him a couple of years ago for No Credentials Required. And he has some wild stories, man. Wild stories about his time in the CFL.
So that's why I was going to say, what was the connection for the interview as a CFL guy? Okay.
Connections to CFL. And he actually gave me some wild stories about the time that the CFL expanded into the United States in the mid-90s. He had some stories about his time in Las Vegas. Ron Meyer is his head coach.
Oh my God. Is that still available?
Yes, it's always available on the archives and No Credentials Required.
Oh man.
I do have one more question before I know we're very close to our time being ending. Thanks, Boston Dan. But I've asked other college football aficionados, and I wanted to ask you as well as someone who's a college football aficionado. Is it okay to be a fan of one Power 4 college football team and one group of 6 college football team? Or you just stick with one college football team altogether?
Yes, I think you can have a rooting interest. I think college football you can have, definitely. Like I'm a Syracuse fan, but I will find myself rooting for teams will I buy Toledo Rocket gear or Miami, Ohio gear? Probably not. But I know people who root for Syracuse who bought Coastal Carolina gear 3 years ago because the Chanticleers have just entered.
Surf turf, the Musketeer, the Muleteers of Coastal Carolina.
Oh, they're awesome. I love to see a game there. I believe it's either free booze or free food at their games. Either one.
It's free food.
Okay. Free booze would have been a bad idea.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, my friend. Come on. let's get a Levack and Goz road show going there. Come on.
Oh, I would love to. Wait, I thought you were ready to reveal your teams. I thought that was a setup for yourself there to say you've got your two teams for the 2025 season.
I know. I mean, you could say Penn State and Hawaii because of my connection with the University of Hawaii because of the special teams coach who coaches there. But I love this. I got into the Sun Belt a few years back. That's a great it's a fun
the
conference.
Fun Belt, baby. My boy Kevin Brown. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And we had mutual friend Malachi Jones played at App State. Played at Appalachian State.
Somehow he found his way back into the new video game, by the way. I don't know if his brother did that or he made himself. Like, if Malachi Jones made himself in the video game, he made it so realistic I thought it was him. I saw that post on Instagram. It was unbelievable. It's so good.
Nice.
Ryan McCarthy, my friend, I know the show's 4 to 7, but you are kind enough to give us 2 hours of your time today. We always appreciate you doing this. Also, one other thing about college football, let me get my selfish plug in before I let you plug your wonderful website. The College Football Monster Parlay is released Monday, so we're 6 days away. So I will give you a scoop before it hits the air next Monday if you need something else to root for this college football season. Your bank account's always good. One more time for people who might be tuning in now, where can people always find your content?
All right, you can find No Credentials Required on your preferred podcast app. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Podbean, our YouTube channel, which is you just search for No Credentials Required. Find our other podcasts and written articles at bellyupsports.com. You might see me start to write articles again for Belly Up Sports. So check it out. You can always find me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook at Who Is Ryan MCC. Just search for Who Is Ryan MCC. Send me a friend request. Send me, follow me. I'll follow you back. Whatever. You can find me anywhere. Find No Credentials Required. We're having a great year on the YouTube side and the podcast side. We like to keep that momentum going, so we'd appreciate to subscribe and leave a review and listen and all that. So thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on, man.
We appreciate you. Don't be a stranger. We'll hopefully be talking again real soon. That fantasy football league might be right around the corner, coming up on the way. If you're a Red Sox fan, this might be finally your moment. You might say, we've hated on you Red Sox over the last few years. No, not exactly. We've got college football wagers. Ryan has inspired us for more of that. And Giants fans, we still got more to talk about in this upcoming season. That's all coming up on the way in hour number 3 here on Levack and Goz, Fox Sports Radio, 95.9 and 980.